Shalom, shalom family. I just made a video all about Genesis 1:1 and the creation story, and I just feel like it's not, it's just too much information. It's a lot of information, and I am wanting to catch anybody up who was wanting to be caught up so that they can follow along with the Torah studies every week. So I recognize that I do have to share this story. I don't want to overload you with too much information. So I'm going to shift things up a little bit here, and I'm going to share about the very first story of the Hebrew Bible or Torah or Old Testament, which is Genesis 1:1. Okay, I'm going to share it in a different way. I'm also going to talk about how it is connected to the Kabbalah so that you can see and make the connection as to why I am even sharing these Torah studies with you every week. What is the point of it? Why are we doing this? And I think there's a really beautiful way that we can tie that into the explanation of the original creation story. And I found this beautiful page on livekabbalah.org, and I'm just going to read it straight up so that way we can step outside of me and you and just kind of hear some beautifully written words, okay? According to science, about 15 billion years ago, our universe was created by the Big Bang. Kabbalah agrees with this concept in many ways. However, the question that modern science is not dealing with, or perhaps does not even dare to discuss, is what happened before the Big Bang. According to Kabbalah, there was an infinite force of positive energy that had no beginning and no end. This primary energy is described by the word light. Before the Big Bang, this light filled the entire reality. There was no space, no time, or movement. Kabbalists learned this from the text in Genesis. Its first paragraph says, "In the beginning God created the heavens and the earth. And God said, 'Let there be light,' and there was light." Since the light in our world comes from the sun that was created on the fourth day, we can understand that the light mentioned above is a spiritual light. Where does this spiritual light disappear with the fulfillments of the creation? The Midrash explains that God treasured it for the righteous, for the future to come. This is what the wisdom of Kabbalah is dealing with, finding that hidden light. So while the light was hung in the firmament on the fourth day as the sun and moon and stars, it doesn't say it was created on the fourth day. It was created on the first, but it was hung as the sun and moon and stars on the fourth day. So what was the original light? It is the light of all of those, celestial, the sun, the moon, and the stars, and the light that's within us. It's the original light. It's the original light. That's the difference. Light, and the Hebrew word for light is or. This is a little paragraph about that. According to Kabbalah, light is the living power of the creation. It fills every part of reality and allows its existence. We connect to the light when we experience anything positive in life. The light provides us with an infinite sense of peace, satisfaction, enjoyment, faith, pleasure, love, and joy. All of these are an expression of the character of the light. Health is a result of positive flow of light in our body, and a sense of good luck is the result of the flow of light into our daily actions. I know that you guys can relate. This is what we call synchronicity. This is what we call the synchronicities that happen, not coincidences, but very divine unfoldings. And if you live in Sedona, it's a regular occurrence, the awareness of such things, which are always there. The creation of the vessel. The nature of the light and its essence is to spread, to give, and to share. We know it since when a person is full with light, that means that he is in a mental state of bliss. One of the immediate outcomes is that he feels like sharing that feeling with others. Therefore, because at first there was only light, a vessel had to be created in order to receive and contain all of the light's abundance. This is how the souls of humanity and all creatures, whose basic characteristic is a desire to receive, are the vessel that was created by the light. Rabbi Ashlag said that the light of the creation is the living power that allows everything in our reality to exist. The Tzimtzum, which is contraction and reduction. Kabbalah teaches that after the creation of the light expanded and shared its infinite good with the vessel, so it teaches that after the creation, the light itself, it had expanded and shared its infinite good with the vessel. When the vessel also desired to be a creator, so when someone is happy and full of light, he'll shift automatically into a state of giving and sharing. Since at that stage the vessel was focused on sharing, the vessel then reduced and contracted its own desire to receive. This stage is called the tzimtzum, reduction or contraction, that was a cataclysmic event that pushed away endless light from the vessel in a kind of a big bang. The result of the tzimtzum, according to Kabbalah, was a long cascade of events that led to the formation of the world the way we know it. In other words, the Big Bang of modern science is a result of the tzimtzum. In our physical world, we must seek the light and then learn how to keep it. Here, every day, in countless situations, we can create light from darkness, order out of disorder, success out of failure, and certainty out of doubt. In this world, we have the ability and the space to share, to care for others, to overcome challenges, and to create situations that make us feel as the light or the creator. Here's the last part, reconnecting to the light and becoming a creator. The light is not a part of the physical world. In order to tap into the spiritual plane where the light is, there is a condition. The connection to the light can be achieved as we work for it. This work can be defined as the process through which we transform our selfish nature into a nature of giving, loving, and sharing. By this, we become creators ourselves. However, sharing is not enough. The creator himself is always a cause and never an effect. Rejecting passivity and instead embracing an active pursuit to turn darkness into light is another condition to reattach ourselves to the hidden light. In this pursuit, we create a connection between the physical and the spiritual world. Two into the one. The study of Kabbalah involves learning the rules and the ways a person can achieve a constant flow of light, or in the infinite realms of human life. Wow, that really sounds like every light worker I know, right? Like every young person working toward unity consciousness right now. The study of Kabbalah, or oneness, involves learning the rules and the ways, so the techniques or the rituals, that a person can achieve a constant flow of light, constant flow of realization, constant illumination. This is the goal of Kabbalah, and this is a shared goal of many of us. Many of us. And why I choose to really go deeply, as far as Kabbalah, is because there are guidelines that were written long ago, that were written at a very specific time, for the first and only time that it was ever written in its completion. It's a technology. And because of the way it was written and when it was written, its vibration, its frequency is different from anything else in this physical reality. It has a very high frequency, and these words become tools. They're a timeless technology, an eternally sustainable technology for us to use. So why not use it? And what I mean is these Hebrew letters, the Hebrew letters are the building blocks of our very reality. They're geometry. From the very first letter to the very last letter, it's one long name of God using Hebrew letters. It's hieroglyphic. And this is why I feel like for all of us light workers, oneness workers, unity conscious servers, unity consciousness servers, whatever you want to call it, we all have the same goal. And I'm here to share with you all, to be the bridge for you all to Kabbalah. I really believe that Hebrew holds very relevant keys for the evolution of one and all, and that means for the evolution of humanity. So whoever's interested in learning more about the Hebrew and the gematria, which is the sacred geometry, which is at the root of this language, please let me know that it's your interest so that we can get together and go deep together. It's always better when we're together because there's always greater perspective. So I hope now you can see how Kabbalah is tied into the actual story of creation itself. Kabbalah says that that very first story in Genesis, the very first story of the Old Testament in Hebrew Bible, is reflected in every story thereafter. And when it completes, we begin again because nothing needs to be completed because everything after that is another reflection, another spiraling out. There's a very sacred formula that is behind this written Torah and Bible. Okay, so a couple of points that I want to bring up about this first story of the Torah in Bereishit. The very first word, Bereishit, it's not Ba-reshit, which would mean something entirely different than Bereishit. It's ba with an apostrophe. Ba would mean in the beginning, but technically if we translate the Hebrew, it would be in the beginning of God created. In English it doesn't make sense. In the beginning of God created. But when we look at it in Hebrew, what we can see it's really saying is in the beginning of God, the world was created. The eternal world was created. So it's not just in the beginning, it's in the beginning of the beginning. And one really beautiful way I love that it's explained is, so the first three words, okay, of the Torah are Bereshit bara Elohim. In the beginning of the beginning, that is always beginning, God created the creation that is still. So within the very first sentence, and even within the very first word, and even within the very first letter, which that goes very deep, and we'll talk about that another time, but within that first word is contained the entire story of creation, the entire story of the Torah. And everything else is just a spiraling out from there. Quite literally in a fractal way, like literally spiraling out in perfect proportion. And then we find ourselves here in this reality. And it's still that. It's still a reflection of that original creation story. And this is why Kabbalah is such a great study. Okay, so there's a lot in here also about Cain and Abel, and in short, the story of Cain and Abel is one that Cain and Abel were Adam and Eve's children, and Cain kills Abel and he's exiled, and he then finds a wife to marry, and she ends up being basically either his sister or a grandchild of Adam and Eve. It's not really known, but these things are seemingly incomplete in the Torah, not because it's done on purpose. It's so that we can say, hey, what's that white space there? I need to look behind the lines. I need to look a little bit deeper, and it's asking that of you to use your free will to pick up the Torah and say, I want to know this answer. I want to know what's going on there, because when you ask, you receive, and the universe and God and the Torah, which is one with that, knows this truth. The way that we work best, the way that we're most receptive, is when we ask ourselves. We ask for the truth it's given. We don't, we don't receive unsolicited advice in the holiest of ways. The holy truth is only given to those who are truly seeking it, not just by way of question, with an empty word, but with soul in that word, with heart in that word. Only when you're really feeling it and you, using your free will, approach the Word and the Word of God and God, Him, herself, saying, I want to know the answers to this. Only then will they be revealed to you. So there's a lot more to study in the story of Genesis. If you wish to go a little bit deeper, just check out Genesis 1:1. You can Google it and see all the different commentaries by all the different rabbis, priests, people, whomever around the world throughout time. Genesis 1:1, Adam and Eve, the Garden of Eden, and Cain and Abel. Okay? So I will be making the next video soon, and I believe it's Vayira, but I'll have to check. So thank you for tuning in for the original story here. The original, the story, the beginning of beginnings. And I'm really excited to share the next few videos with you all to catch you up to where we're at now, so that every Shabbat we can be on the same page, literally. Okay? Many blessings and shalom.